And we are live. What's good, people? It's your man DL Saint sitting out here in a rainy Tampa, Florida right now. And I like it. I tell you what, living in California, it did not rain. Just like they said, Tony said, it never rains in Southern California until it does. And when it does, it floods everything in LA. People in LA know what I'm talking about. Can't even park your car on the side of the road without the water going into the tailpipe. What's up? How y'all doing? It is the DL Saint. I really want to know podcast. I'm DL Saint with you here. Um, Chilling. I didn't do anything yesterday. I was gonna do a quick little show on the story I saw about a naval ship, an aircraft carrier that was having some issues in dry dock at the shipyards. I still may do it. I think I'm gonna do it. I want to talk about it, and so be looking for that sometime this week. But yeah, today we're gonna be talking to a good friend of mine in LA. She's a beautiful young woman who is an actor, a writer, um, and more importantly, she's a wife and a mom and a great mom at that. And I'm looking forward to talking to her about how she juggles all that. And this, y'all know I've been beating up on Hollywood lately. I've been having some stories about the horrible stories of Hollywood and the casting couch and all of the mean people and all that. Well, got to bring balance. So I have to bring someone on who is successful, who has made it through all that, and tell everyone about the good side of Hollywood, because there's a good side. There's a good and a bad to everything and everyone. So James Thompson, what's good? Thanks for the support. Yeah, let's go. We ready to rock this out. So as y'all know, I'm a retired air traffic controller, but I'm also a stand-up comedian. I started my career over 15 years ago in comedy, and I met some of the coolest people in Hollywood in that space. To this day, I mean, some of my best times on planet Earth happened in that frame, especially the first 3 to 5 years just getting started in stand-up, because it's so wild. We had so many stories, and I met so many cool people. And one of those people I met is here today, who has been out there doing the work, putting it in, making it happen. And I want to bring her up because she is such a wonderful person. So yeah, let's make some noise for Miss Annie Girard, everybody. There's Annie. There she
Aw,
is.
that's so nice. I feel the same way.
What's good, girl? How you feeling?
I'm good. Pardon my wet hair. I've had a big morning of barf and poop. So
Barf and poop. That's what I'm talking about. See, the comedy world never know what you're gonna talk about. She ain't talking about her kids either. She probably did a rough show. She had to deal with a bunch of barf and poop. No.
early morning show. uh,
They're right here.
oh, it's okay.
Hey,
He's
we
like
got husband there. Huh?
my husband and baby. It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I don't need to see
They're both barping and pooping. Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
both of them. Both of them.
Oh no.
It's craziness.
Oh no. And you gotta handle that. You gotta hold that down. What's up, Doug? Thanks for coming and stopping by and showing up some love. So Annie, like if you need a minute, we can give you a minute if you gotta go rescue some people.
No, it's all good. I took a shower and I'm fresh. Yeah.
Fresh. That's what's up. So let's start from the beginning for those who don't know you. I'm just now growing this platform, but I have people who rock with me already, and there's going to be a lot of people watching this in the replay. So do me a favor, tell everyone who you are.
Okay, hi, I am Annie Girard. As Don mentioned, I started out as a performer. I was doing acting and stand-up and sketch and improv and blah, like kind of everything, just a big scatter shot. And I figured out that the thing I like the best is writing. So I've been writing more recently, although I'm offer only for roles. But I've been writing a lot for animation recently. So I've written for The Legend of the Three Caballeros for Disney Plus. I've written for Blue Collar TV. I've written in the last couple of years, I've been doing freelance writing for like 10 plus different cartoons, which has been great to do from home. And yeah, that's kind of I guess I mean, I've sold some scripts that haven't been made the
Ooh, somebody being fancy. You sold some scripts. Look at you, girl.
scripts. We're still waiting for a series to be made someday, but you know, one step at a time.
You know, we make light of it, but the rest of the world is like, oh my gosh, she sold scripts. We're like, y'all have no idea what that means.
Yeah.
And hopefully by the end of this interview, maybe they'll have a better understanding. So so normally when I do these things, you always start with friends when you start something new, right? So again, thank you so much for doing this. I mean, this is like, I'm so happy, and I ain't seen you in forever too.
It's like we're hanging out.
I know. It's like we're right there doing it. You know what I mean? Like, bam, what's up? It's like we're waiting to get on stage. You know what I mean? Like, yo, how much time you gonna do tonight? Like, I don't know. So when I do this, I normally I'll sit down and I'll write out some bullet points, and then I'll kind of just go from there. And it's free flowing. So if we're talking about something and you want to go off on the tangent, feel free to do that. I'll go right along with you for the ride, because that's where all the magic is. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Well, tangents are my sweet spot. So
oh yeah, this is gonna be it then. This is gonna be it. So all right, let's get into it then. So when did you know you wanted to be in the biz, and how old were you?
Oh yeah, nursery school production of Noah's Ark. I was cast as Mrs. Noah, and it really took off from there. Although halfway through the run, it was a 2-run performance, my friend said she wanted to be Mrs. Noah, so I traded her for the horse, which I realized was a much better role. So
hilarious.
It was just, it had my heart.
Hilarious. Like, you know what? This is what we're gonna do. Right off rip. So you knew right away, you're like, this is it. I'm gonna perform, I'm gonna have fun. Were you the little kid that was always running around performing whenever you got a chance, or were you more of a quiet kid?
I don't know that I was like very loudly performative, but I always was doing plays like in my bed and dressing my brother up and forcing him to do them, and dressing my rats up and forcing them to do them. So there was a lot of that going on.
That's hilarious. So was your little brother or your older brother?
Little brother.
Yeah, he had no choice. I'm pretty sure he would much rather have been beat up than it's like, sit still, like you're painting his face. He's like, I want to go outside. No,
curling iron and everything to him.
Oh my goodness. And now that's out there for the entire universe to know. Yeah, bro, we know.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So all right, what do you love most about the Hollywood life, and what do you wish were better or different?
Well, and I feel like every Hollywood life is different. So me personally, living in LA, I love that it's a really creative city. I love that everyone has a dream. I'm gonna go see Pretty Woman the musical next month, so maybe I'm getting ready with that "everyone has a dream" quote.
And that's Pantages, I'm assuming.
Well, it was Pantages. It's now at the Dolby, which is where they have the Oscars.
Oh, that's where the slap happened. Ooh.
But it's going back to the Pantages, and I'm very excited because that's a very fancy theater.
Yes.
Actually,
Tangent time.
Talking about inside people, but I don't know if you remember Julia Lillis and Claudia Maitland-Harris. We have
yes, I do.
Tickets. They're from Stand Up Days. So,
remember when Julia did that Zach Braff thing?
Yes.
And didn't they bring her to the set? Didn't they bring her to the set to do it?
Yes. Oh. Yeah, she got to do it for him.
Wow. So for everyone's wondering what we're talking about, Julia Lillis is a stand-up comedian, actor, writer, just like all of us. You know what I mean? And when we were coming up in the days, she decided that she was going to bring her keyboard up and perform kind of like a minstrel kind of thing. You know what I mean? And she came up with this song about Zach Braff when he was doing, was it Scrubs back then? That's when he was like popping doing Scrubs. One of the funniest things I ever heard. And how did that go? Did the producer see her doing it at the store? Do you remember?
It must have been. I have no memories. My brain.
Okay.
Swiss cheese.
Right. I want to say a producer from Scrubs happened to be at the Comedy Store one of the nights she was doing that. Invited her to come to the set. They did not tell Zach this was going on, and she performed for the entire crew. It's out there. It's filmed. It's out there. It's on the internet somewhere. I gotta track her down. I want to talk to her about that. That's crazy. And she's a vet just like me. She's former Navy.
Yeah. She just went to a reunion. So.
Wow, that's cool. See, all right, that's tangent one. We're gonna have a bunch of them tonight.
I feel like she's coming on the show soon, so you'll get to have those tangents filled out, fleshed out.
Definitely gonna look rough. I plan to go through the whole crew. I don't because y'all had a crazy name for that comic troupe y'all put together.
We had an all-female sketch and stand-up show called Hotbox.
Yeah, she said it, not me, y'all. Hotbox. Don't cancel me. It wasn't me.
Yeah, that was fun. We toured with that. We toured the country. It was great.
Yes, toured the country. We had there's law enforcement involved. There's great stories behind that crew. Great stories behind that crew. That's what's up. That's what's up. So all right. So you're writing, you're acting. Are you still doing stand-up or no?
I'm not doing stand-up. At a certain point, I had a real come to Jesus with myself, and I was like, I'm doing too much. I'm doing too many things, and I can't do all these things really, really well. So I need to focus. So I kind of I thought, okay, the end game of every single one is great. The end game of writing, get a series. The end game of stand-up, you are headlining wherever you want to headline, or you get a series. I don't know, maybe that's the end game of every single. But I was like, okay, the middle game for stand-up is, touring and staying in the comedy condo. And that to me seemed really hard, especially because I also had a real honest session with myself, and I was like, what am I not as good at? And I felt like stand-up was one of the things. I enjoyed it, but I like writing a lot because I can keep writing something new and then move on. Whereas with stand-up, I just don't have enough patience to finally sculpt it night after night after night to get the exact right inflection and the exact right verb in that spot. And so I focused on writing.
That's
basically.
What's up. And thanks for the honesty, because I've talked to so many people in the business, and I want to ask you this so you can give me your honest opinion. There are folks out there who really believe that stand-up is simple.
Oh God, no. It's so hard. You're just up there naked, like maybe a microphone, but that doesn't cover much. It's just, it's hard for sure.
Absolutely. And I tell folks that, and everything you just said about the inflections and the verbs and all the gestures, just those little technical, mechanical things that you do on stage, they're so amplified because as a writer or as an actor, let's say as an actor, you have all this support. You got all these things to play off of. But as a stand-up comedian, there's a bar stool, there's a mic stand and a mic. Mm-hmm. That's it. And then there's people. And it's off you go. There's no one screaming cut. There's no one screaming, hey, let's, make up. There's none of that going on. Someone get Annie a water, please. You get none of that. There's no trailer outside. There's no food service. There's people getting up trying to hit you. You got to tackle folks these days. It's crazy. Real quick, what are your thoughts on that? First the smack, and then what just happened at the Hollywood Bowl.
I think team neither.
Team neither.
Right? I don't know.
But as a performer, did that horrify you?
Yeah, I don't want physical violence. I think heckling is bad enough. But yeah, I don't want physical violence.
Right. Who wants that? And you probably saw plenty of that at the Comedy Store anyway. That was like the little comedic Vietnam back in the day.
Oh yeah, I mean, very angry yelling at the performer on stage I've seen, and then angry yelling back. But that was terrifying to me. That was one of the reasons I was like, I don't know if I can cut this. Like, I'm,
Right.
I'm not used to being treated like this.
Right. Like, what are you doing? I'm beautiful. Leave me alone. Shut up. Make me laugh. And then you got us in the back just crying every time we see something like that. She's
Oh,
uncomfortable. This is funny to us.
I know. Oh my God. I always thought it was funny. There were like two levels of jokes. There were the jokes that made the comedians in the back laugh, and there were the jokes that made the audience laugh. And then I guess there were jokes that made no one laugh. But those jokes that made no one laugh would make the comics in the back laugh. So
Exactly.
seeing no one laugh.
Oh, there's nothing better than I watched my buddy Bill Prather. I don't know if you remember Bill, but we started together. We were kind of like in that our group, our class coming up, and we were at Tangiers, I think something. He was someone asked him to come and do bits while the band is broke down and set up. It was horrible. It was the worst 15 minutes I've ever seen anyone suffer through. It was brilliant. I couldn't stop laughing. It was me and BJ Bells, and then we were there to kind of also go up. And then Prather realized it was going bad. One of the people walked by like, "You're bombing, dude." And he's like, "Oh, thank you, sir. I know." And then he's like, "Okay, coming up next is my buddy BJ Bells." And then BJ's like, "Go to hell!" Like he's not like I'm not coming up there.
Oh,
He's like, "F you, bro." And it was I couldn't stop laughing, tearing up. I'm like, "This is great. This is worth driving an hour and a half to get here." That's what I'm like, just for this moment right here. So
yeah.
what was your worst moment when you were messing around in comedy? Like what was like one of your worst absolute moments? Like, man, I can't believe I'm putting myself through this.
I mean, I think anytime you do a new bit, it's just a wild card. You just never know. And you have to, like, in order to be an artist, you've got to risk failing and then do it again. And I remember I did a new bit and it did not work. And it was just like silence on stage, which, like, I did get a laugh when I commented on the silence, at least. Like, that's something. But I remember afterwards, I think Jason Tybo was there. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, I think it was my first real bomb. Like, you never forget your first bomb. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And he cheered me up by saying, you're not a real comic and you're not good until you've bombed 100 times.
At least.
Which I think that maybe was the first moment when I was like, well, this isn't for me.
Like I'm gonna have to really think this through. But nah, I mean that's as a stand-up comedian, the gold is there. The only way to get to the comedic gold is to go through that gauntlet of failure over and over and over again. And yeah. So I was cool with it because I was a paratrooper. I'm used to being beat up on. But I see people all the time. It's just like, nah, bro, I can't do this. I can't do that.
Yeah. No, I mean, as a writer, I go through the same process, but my first time doing pitching a joke, if it's bad, I get notes and they say, change that joke.
Right.
So I feel like it's
Right.
a lot gentler, or I don't know, quieter at least.
At least, yeah, because I feel you on that. And wow. So Needs Watchers, what's good, brother? Thanks for the support. I will be on his platform tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Correct me if I'm wrong, Needs. It's a great platform for y'all out there. Go check him out. Go support him. He talks about watches, fine timepieces. The brother's on point. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I'm not going to drink that much tonight when I go out just to make sure that I'm ready. So yeah. So all right. So if you could only do one, and we've already eliminated one of the three. We were talking about acting, we were talking about writing, and stand up. If you could only do one, which would it be? This was my follow-up question to the earlier question.
I mean, I'd say writing. I love writing. I feel like a god. No, I mean, I'm creating people. I'm creating worlds. It's something you can do without permission from anyone. You can just do it by yourself on a computer, even if no one cares if you're doing it or not. I'll do acting still when people ask me to, but the process of like driving across, well, I guess I don't think you have to drive across town for auditions as much anymore, but uh I mean, I love acting, although I feel like writing suits me a little bit better. I think I'm a closet introvert,
Hmm.
and so I I do like being able to write and just like make people laugh, and acting, I feel like I judge myself more, whereas writing I can be like, oh, you didn't like that, here's some more, tap tap tap, so uh but yeah, I mean, I still love acting, and I've been doing voiceover recently, which is even more fun because
And
I
that's still acting, right? That's
yeah. Yep. So
okay. Okay, that's fair enough. It sounds to me that you find freedom in that world when you just throw yourself pen to paper or behind a keyboard the what do you call it, type thing, behind that keyboard and start typing. It's like you find that sort of freedom, and there's just so you don't feel any pressure at all when you're writing. You haven't got to that point.
oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, there's pressure, I feel like there have been times when I get notes on a project and I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm terrible at this. You know, little existential crises sprinkled throughout my year. But no, I really do. I mean, I will say my favorite part of writing is a writer's room where everyone gets together, sits at a table, and like you've got a bunch of funny, smart people trying to make each other laugh. That's the best.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but I haven't done an in-person one since COVID, and I hate a Zoom writer's room. Hate them.
I couldn't imagine it. Like we just, I would just keep shoving my laptop down or something. Like I don't want to see these people.
I mean,
That's not a writer's room.
you're like kind of like I feel like Zoom doesn't let you kindly interrupt to build on a joke as well. Like there's this timing thing that doesn't work as well. Um,
And I was going to ask you that: is it the energy in that room, or just because everyone is kind of plugged in together and it's kind of spontaneous and it's kind of so that has to add to the creativity part.
oh yeah. I mean, there is something just visceral about being in the room with people and just, pitching jokes, making each other laugh, building on someone else's joke, yes, anding. And also it's nice when you're in a room with actual people that you're not like you don't feel like you're being looked at the whole time. Like with Zoom, you're like
Yeah, with Zoom is
like,
this with Zoom? It's like bam. So
yeah,
Annie, what do you think?
like ooh. Yeah. Whereas like if you're in a writer's room in real life, like there are times that you can like, pick your nose subtly and you aren't worried that someone's gonna go look at the video of it later.
That is so important, y'all, to be able to pick your nose and not have to worry about it showing up on the internet. I mean, really. Because if
Creativity.
I was to go digging right now, it's a wrap. Yeah, the same picture. That's a meme. It's all kind of stuff. You're the pick your nose guy. Like, yeah, I'm never gonna make it.
Although then you'd make it and that would be your thing.
And I gotta just keep digging boogers for $1 million. That would be the worst life ever. The worst. I would hate my life. Like, dude, I'm picking boogers for a living. But that's easy money. So what do you do?
Yeah.
All right. So let me ask you this about the biz. How important are managers, agents, unions in Hollywood?
I mean, I think unions are super important because residuals are great. And they're kind of disappearing though. I don't know.
Really? Explain. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, like streaming versus broadcast is,
Oh,
you know, like I mean, I remember back in the day when I did like a Michelob Ultra commercial, I got like $30,000 for just like playing frisbee for a day. Ultimately, after all the residuals rolled in.
that's right. Because every time that would air, you would get paid essentially. So
Yeah.
you got paid up front initially, and then after that, you would get more.
Yeah, you get more if it's national, you get more like each time they run it. Yeah.
And then those deals were basically brokered by the union on your behalf.
Yes.
And then once that is set, everyone is kind of, okay, this is the structure. This is how we do it. Everyone knew there was no BS, no funny business. And now with streaming, that's not the case.
Well, streaming and not just for commercials, it's also for, if you have a line on a network show, you get you get your day rate, and then I'm still getting checks. I had one line on Charmed, like it was my first thing that got me in the union. I'm still getting checks for like 50 cents, but it was like,
hey, that could almost buy you a candy bar. Almost.
Um, and every time I get a check, I think Alyssa Milano is so rich because she had more than one line.
And Doug is saying, "Wow, 30,000 for a commercial." I mean, I knew people that were getting hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah, then. No, I wasn't even the star of the commercial. I think I just, threw a frisbee.
And got 30 grand for that. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, cumulatively. But yeah, and then but I think with streaming, I think the unions didn't really, because it came in so slowly, they didn't really get ahead of it.
Okay.
So unless you're a star, the contracts aren't as good, and there isn't really the residuals going on.
Wow.
As much.
Okay, that makes sense, and that kind of goes to the whole Joe Rogan thing, that whole controversy where you had the musicians and those type artists upset with Spotify because Rogan got such a sweetheart deal, and I think that's what we're kind of talking about here. Well, Rogan's people, he's major, he brings so much to the table that they're willing to cut these major deals, whereas people who have been doing this forever, making a living, they're like, oh, you're paying us pennies. So normally the union would be the mechanism that would keep all that, sorted. And so since they failed to see an advance and get ahead of this thing, now we got these problems down the road. Wow. You think that's going to get fixed anytime soon?
As the mother of a baby, I am not as up on current events as they should be. But I do feel like they're trying, and there have been, I think there's been a lot of strikes throughout different parts of the union or the industry trying to equalize a lot of these issues. Like, for instance, I know, writers of animation get paid way less than writers of live action.
Really? Especially now, animation is so big.
It's weird because animation makes more money. That like if you compare an animated movie to a live action movie, they make way more money on average. But it's funny too, because like if you look at nursery shows, preschool shows, they actually are the cash cows of the animation kind of the television. They make money if you look at all the licensing and product, which is where they really make their money. But preschool shows make more money than anything, and you get paid the least for preschool shows.
And we're talking preschool animated. We're talking like Bubble Guppies or something like that. What are we talking about here? We're talking about that.
Yeah. Octonauts, whatever.
Peppa Pig, all that, even though that's probably overseas.
Yeah, wow. They make a ton of money, but you get paid the least for them. So there was an animation writers strike, along with, they've had the behind the scenes people of live action. They had strikes because they're just the working conditions are terrible. So I know a lot of different parts of the industry, for basically non-stars and non-bigwigs, I guess, are trying to equalize a lot of the treatment as well as pay discrepancies. So hopefully it'd be great I think the problem is that it's also kind of a alluring industry that a lot of people want to do and will do for less than livable wage because they want to get a foot in. I mean, it's an industry where it's a prize in a contest to get like a walk-on role in a television show. So,
Yes, that's so difficult. I know that for a fact. That is so difficult, and people do dangle that opportunity, and that gets more towards the dark side of Hollywood. Which again, I was trying to keep it upbeat. Like we don't want to beat up on Hollywood, but I was summing up with this though. It sounds to me that the union is really putting in work and fighting a good fight on behalf of, like you said, those people who are trying to get in, those people who don't have as much clout, let's say, as the big names, because the big names don't have these issues, right? They walk in the door, they're going to pay me 25, 30 million, done.
Right. Right. And I think it's like a lot of society, it's getting very, very bifurcated. So there's like, the people who are doing very, very well, and then the people that are trying to make a living, so.
Yeah, and that there's a guy out there. I admire him a lot. I've met him once. His name is Andrew Tate. He's Andrew Tate. He's really big on the manosphere side of the internet, right? And his thing is this. He's like, you've heard the phrase the have and have nots. Well, he says it's the have nots and the have yachts, and so like that's his big thing. And I'm always repeating that. I'm always screaming that. And it's funny that even in the Hollywood game, it sounds like it's the have-nots versus the have-yachts, or in that case, the have-jets, because all of the executives are flying around in their Gulfstreams and their Global Expresses. Wow. We got to get you a jet, Annie. That's what it is. We got to get y'all a plane. She's like, just get me a good rate. Just give me a good rate. I'll be happy. So, wow. So, okay, let's shift it up a little bit. Let's talk about relationships. So, how long have you been married, and how do you balance the two worlds?
Oh God, how long have I been married?
Uh-oh, you could have just lied, girl. Ain't nobody gonna be.
I know, but I feel like sometimes people do math and yell at me. Wait. Okay, so my kid is 5.5, so I think like 7 years.
There you go.
And
Way to work it back.
And then we were together for 3 years before that. So we've been together for like 10. What was the second part of the question? The math really stumped me. Forgot.
So how do you balance the two worlds? How do you balance? Because I mean, I follow you on your Instagram. We talk, we know each other, and I'm a single dad, and I see what you're doing as a mom, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Like you're about that life. Like you're a mom.
I mean, this is Instagram. There's a lot of fart noises that make those kids smile for those pictures. But
but the outfits, dressing up, the play dates, like the mermaid outfit, playing around. I mean, you're doing all that stuff.
Oh right? Yeah, well that was beginning early COVID. I mean, well, my kid just likes dressing up constantly. How do I balance? Well, I'll tell you this. I think COVID really like gave me more endurance for my family. Like before COVID, I remember we were looking for preschools for. I have a 5.5-year-old now, so beginning she was, what is that? Was she 3?
Yeah, something like that. I'm bad at math too. It is what it is. I'm just going with you. I'm just gonna say, yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure. I don't know. So hard right now. But she, like, I remember when we were looking for preschools, and some of them like only went 9 to 3, and I was like, that is not long enough. I need at least 9 hours away from my child. Like I need her in away, very far away. And then COVID happened, and I just was suddenly thrown into 24/7 momming, and I realized it's possible. And she's funny. She also got older. The older they get, the more I like them.
I'm with that too. When they're little and they're just doing whatever, and then it's like whatever. Then they start walking and when they first start doing things that could kill themselves. That's when I'm like, this is scary. So once they get to that point where they're like, okay, they don't want to accidentally off themselves, so they're more cautious. I'm cool with that. They're bigger. You can kind of talk to them a little bit, like, But when they were little, I was like, well, I don't. What is this?
Yeah, I call it the brainer stage. Like I feel like she's just trying to brain herself constantly. Like I have a 10-month-old, so she's, trying to learn to walk, which just means concussion city. And then she like today she like ate something and she I will do a finger swipe on her mouth like 5 times. I can't find it, and she still manages to choke on it and then like barf all over. Is this what we're supposed to be talking about?
I told you we're gonna hit tangents, girl. We're gonna hit tangents. But the point is, you've managed to still, you and your husband have managed to balance that to maintain the home and secure the career, because he also was in the business too, right? So you guys are.
Yeah, we met doing stand up actually. He is in animation, but we were in like an animation themed show. Although I wasn't in animation yet, I think they just thought I was like a living cartoon. I don't know, or they didn't know any girls. I don't know. But we met doing stand up, and we've worked together. He makes cartoons and does VO. He does all the things. He draws. Yeah. So, but since COVID, we've both been working from home, and he is very helpful. Like, yeah, I mean, I think we became a better team actually, through that.
That's what's up. I mean, yeah, because you hear these negative stories, but the fact that COVID made people stay home is kind of like we're forcing people to be families again. So it's like we're bringing back. Maybe that's a conspiracy theory. I'm gonna have to talk to Sam Trippy about that, bro. Like, what's going on? Who's behind this? Making a family back and forcing the family back into the home. Yeah, I miss Sam Trippy. I'm trying. He's agreed to do the show. We just have to work out the schedule. You talk about excited.
That one.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That is going to be an hour and a half of complete chaos. I can't wait for that one.
And he's got family stuff going on too.
Yeah, he's got the twins. He named them after his like favorite cartoon character, I think, and they're just doing it. I think the guys like Sam Tripoli make the best fathers because they're like, whatever, let's just go. I mean, when you're crazier than your kids, they're probably gonna be like at 8, they're gonna be like 40-year-olds sitting around drinking coffee, like, oh, what are we gonna do about him? Like, he needs help.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually jealous of my kids because my husband's a voice actor, so he does voices very well. So bedtime story, like he does, for instance, all the Jim Henson voices on Muppet Babies. So they're very spoiled with book reading. Yeah. Although, like, it took a while for our child to accept that Matt was baby Kermit. Because every time we'd say, like, Daddy's Kermit, she'd go, no, I'm Kermit. And then she'd do her version. But yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. So, all right. So we'll shift gears again. What is your coolest Hollywood moment so far?
Coolest Hollywood moment. I got to work a little bit with Joey Soloway, who did Transparent, and it was just a really neat experience. At one point, there was like a witches coven group where we got together, and it felt very supportive and encouraging. And I don't know, I really like creating community and being a part of community.
Okay.
I will say, like, my favorite Hollywood thing, which isn't really a Hollywood thing. I run a writer support group, which we've got to get back to post COVID, but where we get together and like workshop pieces that are in progress, like things that people are working on. which doesn't sound too Hollywood, but it's been fun seeing, because it's been going for years, and seeing the success that's come out of that. Like, scripts have been sold and made and in theaters just that we got to see the first draft of, and friends have gotten staffed on uh, South Park, and all sorts of like my favorite shows, or like watching people struggle and work and work and work and work and then find success and get rewarded for that, has been very cool. It's I don't know, it's inspiring, and it's fun. I don't
That's
know.
funny because that would have gone into another question I have for you. I was going to ask you as a writer. Well, I'm going to ask you now. As a writer, have you seen your work on stage, film, or TV? And like, what was that like the first time if it happened? Like one of your, like, I wrote that. There it is.
Yeah, the first thing, when I, like, a long time ago, I I was staffed on a show called Blue Collar TV.
I
It had
remember that.
Larry the Cable Guy and Jeff Foxworthy, who actually, Jeff Foxworthy is the nicest guy ever. And I feel like I remember one time at lunch, people were complaining about the food, and he was like, "You guys need to be grateful for what you have." And I just felt like, okay, but I've had ribs like 5 times this week. So, like,
And Jeff Foxworth, for those guys who may not know who we're talking about, that's the guy who was famous for, what was it, You Might Be a Redneck
yeah,
If?
you might be a redneck if. Yeah, which it was funny because it was this very progressive writers group. Um, like, for instance, Liz Feldman was on the writing team, and she just did Dead to Me. So, like, it was a lot of really smart, really funny people, and Jeff Foxworthy, very smart, very funny. I don't have my own copies of You Might Be a Redneck If books. Like, it wasn't really anyone's cup of tea. But a super funny group of people, and it was really, like, I learned a lot from them. And I was kind of thrust into that. So yeah, that was the first time I saw my stuff on screen. And I remember I remember, like, my mom got very excited because I got a line in. Like, they had these, like, I think at the end of the show they do a bunch of like jokes, and one of them was like, what's the worst last thing you could hear in your life? And I got some sort of joke like, throw her in the freezer, we'll bury her in the spring. Which was because in Illinois, in the winter, the ground is very cold, and I had pet rats that would die, and then we would put them in the freezer.
Whoa. So you were this close. You were like this close to being like a hit person working for the mob. Like, I just throw in the freezer, get Annie over here. It's springtime. She'll do a little spring cleaning. You would have been the real cleaner.
Yeah. My dad was a biologist, so he didn't have a problem with, I guess, specimens in the freezer.
Wow, because I would. I'm not gonna lie. What's in the freezer? No, get, get that out of here.
Anymore. My household would not have that.
That's crazy. I did not know that about you, and I didn't know you from Illinois. I'm from Cincinnati originally, so it's same
Oh.
weather. Yeah, same weather. I hate. That's why I left. I remember there was a blizzard in 1978. It was crazy, like snow drifts, like people couldn't get out of their house because the snow was against the door. They were stuck in the home, right? And I had to go from the babysitter's house home during that blizzard, and it was, I don't know, 2 or 3 blocks or something like that. It was the worst, the absolute worst day of my life. And from that point on, yeah, I hate it. I hate cold to this day. And from that point on, people would ask me, "What are you going to do when you grow up?" And I would just look at them and say, "Leave. I am going to leave Ohio. It's too cold." And I did. I left. I left. Became 18 years old, joined the army, and went to war in the desert. In the desert.
What if you had been stationed in Alaska? What would you have done? AWOL.
AWOL. Absolutely. I'd deserted. I would have shot myself. I'd have did something. I'm not like in the foot. I would like, I'd have got wounded myself. Like, nah, man, we ain't doing this. Like if war breaks, like in Ukraine, it starts like in the cold. Like, man, we gotta hold on. We can fight in the spring. Pause. Pause for now. We'll fight in the spring. But I couldn't stand the cold. And I wound up I was in Korea. South Korea is cold in the wintertime. Cold, 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 cold. Like that country is, oh my God. And I was there. And again, I hate the cold. But that was my last like 6 months in the military. So I was able to hack it. Plus, they didn't send me to the field. I didn't have to go out and do soldier stuff. I was you know, a garrison soldier for my last 6 months, which was great. The first 3 years, I was always out in the woods, in the rain, and all that, training to fight and doing all that. My last 6 months, I was like sitting back in the office, chilling. You know what I mean? Just chilling,
By the heater.
complaining. Yeah, complaining it's cold. Like, ooh, it's cold out there. But I'm like in the cold for like 5 minutes from the car to the door. That's about it. So that's crazy. So all right. So we've already like we dropped a couple names and all that kind of stuff. But let me ask you this about Hollywood: who is going to be the next big actor, director, writer to come out of Hollywood?
Um, an actor, director, writer.
Or who's going to be the next household name to come out of Hollywood? Like, because for most folks, when everyone's an overnight success to the rest of America, but in Hollywood, like Kevin Hart was doing, it took him what 15 years to get his overnight success. You know what I mean? Like Sebastian, when Sebastian Maniscalco hit, where did this guy come from? We're like the Comedy Store. He's been out here doing work for like the better part of 20 years.
Well, I don't know about the industry as a whole, but as far as friends of mine, I will tell you, keep an eye out for Jamil Salim. He is an actor, a writer, a director. He's one of the people from Right Club who has been working on South Park, and I know he has some films coming out, and he's on Bob's Burgers right now, and he's made and starred in films with Kevin Hart. So I feel like he'll be a household name at some point.
Jamil Salim, y'all heard it here first. So when he breaks, he's gonna have to come to you and show you love, girl, because you're like, you was out there touring. That's right. I was pushing your name.
Yeah, he's great. He's amazing. So funny.
And then I guess mine would be Marite Lee Go, really good friend of mine. She's a director, a writer, actor. She has something out now. I think it's called Darkest Nights, a horror flick. It's on Amazon Plus.
Oh.
Yeah, she has. She won some years back. She won some competition, and she had a short that wound up on HBO. And USC Film School, all around amazing person. Like keep your eye out for her. Marite Lee Go. We call her Marty, but
is that Darkest Night or Dark as Night?
I think it's Dark As. Let me look it up real quick.
Oh, right. We can do that.
Yeah. With technology.
Is this the future?
Boy, for real. Let's see. Here it is. Dark as Night. Yep. This is her. Let me
I'm gonna text myself.
Pull up the IMDb. And I gotta hit some more buttons. See, I feel like my age really shows when I'm messing with technology. Okay, let me go over here to this thing and touch this button. Okay. And then I think that's it.
Before this, I was like, do I do it on my phone or on my computer?
Right. See, I wasn't even gonna tell on you. Just told on yourself, girl. I wasn't even gonna tell on you. But there it is. This is Marty's movie.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, Darkest Night. She shot this in New Orleans, and there she is, my friend Marite Lee Go.
Oh,
and
wow.
there she is. I was just at her wedding. She just got married. I think it was last month, and out here in Florida. She lives in LA, but she was out here in Florida for the wedding. It was like amazing. I'm so happy. Thanks for inviting me, Marty. Appreciate it. Sorry for any of the things that I did and said. Sorry, my bad. What happens when I get too much cognac. I'm just kidding. I was on my best behavior. But yeah, I mean, she has more stuff coming out. So hopefully the two of them will be like, boom, top notch. We'll be like, those are people right there. So all right, girl. So what's next for Annie?
Writing. I've been working a lot with a writing partner recently, Diana Wright, who is amazing and so funny, and also great person. But yeah, we've been doing a script. We've been trying scripted audio series for Frequency 101, which is a Channel 101 has been doing a podcast version. And
Sorry.
do you know of Channel 101?
I don't. Is that you had me go and vote for something? Was that Channel 101?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So like Channel 101 was started by Rob Schraub and Dan Harmon, Rick and Morty and Community guys, like back in the day before YouTube, I think.
Oh wow.
So it's basically just like a bunch of people who will make 5-minute episodes of series, and they're usually pretty silly, but it's a great way to just like experiment and have fun and risk failing and make stuff. And so basically they'll have 5 returning shows and then 5 new shows, and then the audience votes for which 5 get to return the next time, and then it goes monthly. And the same process for the podcast. So we've been having fun. The only rule is it has to be under 5 minutes. So yeah, we started experimenting with making audio series, which I've been finding really, I don't know, just it's been fun to play with it. Because like in the Venn diagram of like live action, animation, and audio, there are like so many interesting overlaps, but then opposites. Like in some ways, audio is very much like animation because you can do anything that you can think of, but it's also the opposite because animation is so visual, obviously, and audio not as visual.
So it's a throwback then to the beginning of this entertainment world, right? Because that's how it used to be. Everyone used to gather around the radio, and then you would have the people walking across the room, and then you would have stuff like this. You know what I mean? Instead of actually seeing it, you just hear it. Yeah,
I've been finding it really cool. I mean, and I guess audio series are, kind of making a comeback. Although instead of gathering around, you listen while doing dishes or something.
Right, which is kind of like the whole podcast thing. Like the whole podcast, you turn it on, you just walk around, you listen. Although people like me, I like to actually have it on. I can visually see who's talking. But if I'm in the car, I'm not watching anything. I'm just listening to it. So, So it's kind of like history kind of circling back on itself.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's anyone out there listening who is interested in trying that, because I do have a lot of comic friends, a lot of writers.
And please make a series because we're looking for more. I got into making them because I did a voice for another friend of mine's, Abed Gaith, who's the real Abed that like the Community's Abed was based on. But what a weird name drop. He's super funny and smart, and he's got his own show going on right now. But yeah, it's called Frequency 101. I think it's on Twitch, and then it's also a podcast. Is it on Apple Podcasts? I don't know.
Probably Apple, Spotify, probably all of that stuff. I'm gonna see if I can find it now. Frequency 101. I think this is it. Here, I'll pull it up on the screen, and you can tell me if I found the correct one.
Okay. Yes.
This is it?
That's it. Yeah.
All right.
So they basically have, all 10 of them in there, and then you vote, and then 5 return and 5 new ones each month, which is kind of a fun turnover because you basically write an episode for a week, and then you record it for a week, and then you edit it for a week, and then they do voting for a week. So it kind of forces you to, just make something and not do rewrites.
Is yours still up? What was the title of yours?
Well, mine is in there. Basically, the episode is all 10 of them. And I think on the last 2 on March and April, mine is the first episode. It's my series right now is called The Farrah Tunks Listening to Videotapes in Her Closet Show.
Oh, yes. So. Yes. I remember that. Well, you know what? Let's give one of these a listen. Let's just see what it sounds like.
Welcome to Frequency 101, a Channel 101 podcast. Listen on this host, Tommy Fern.
Hello and welcome to Frequency 101.
So how long
I'm
are
your
these
host,
normally?
Tommy Fern,
The intro,
creator of
I don't know how long the
Frequency.
intro is. I
We
want
came in joint fifth place last month.
Audio
There we
only. You can listen and vote for your 5 favorite shows.
5 favorite? I'd be surprised.
to.
No singing, no dancing, no falling asleep in church. All praying, all choring, or else you'll get the birch. They're the queens of school. They're pious and cool. They're Puritan. They're Puritan. They're Puritan and popular.
I gotta tell you this though, that quality is on point.
Well, he's an Emmy-winning voice actor, so
Wow. That okay. So if anyone's out there interested, there it is. Just whatever search engine, Frequency 101. You know what it looks like now. It'll come up. And if you're interested in that sort of thing, you want to get creative, you want to see how you fare against some of the people who are out there doing it for real. There you
please
go.
do. It's such a fun group. It's really supportive, and I feel like as far as making something, it's the easiest thing to make because it's only 5 minutes and it's only audio and.
And it could actually lead to something. Like, yeah.
Oh, totally. Well, Channel 101, that's where like Lonely Island got their start. That's where Randall Park and his wife, Jay Sue Park, they got their start. Tons of people came out of Channel 101, and there are tons of people working in Frequency 101. One of the guys who has the show and like helps run the channel, he's directing the Whitest Kids You Know movie right now, and there are people who are actively making cartoons on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network who are doing shows, and it's I feel like it's a community of people who there's the people who are trying to get into the industry but they're passionate and productive and actually like working towards it. And then there are people who are working in the industry, but like want to do something where they're not getting network notes, So
Right. 'Cause there's that pressure. It's like sometimes you just want to be creative. You don't want to hear all that other stuff. This is what I got to say. You want to go away.
Yeah.
All right. So, and for those who are out there watching, if you're thinking about getting into the business, you want to be an actor, writer, whatever, producer, director, I don't know, whatever you want to do. This is how it works. You know what I mean? Annie and I, we go back a long way, and we became friends through stand up, and here we are all these years later. God, girl, I think we're coming up on like maybe 20 years.
Yeah, maybe.
Wow. All these years later, still cool, still collabing, still being creative, still being supportive. That's how it really works out there in Hollywood. So there is no overnight success. You know what I mean? You just don't bust through and make it on your own. There's always going to be a team with you, right? And I've heard you mention that in this interview today 4 or 5 times. You're talking about your team. You're talking about people who've helped you, and in turn, people you have helped. So for those of you thinking about getting into Hollywood, this is what it really looks like. And this is where, like we were talking about the unions, we were talking about all these other things. This is what people are talking about in Hollywood when they're sitting in those little cafes looking cute. You know what I mean? This is what they're talking about. What are you working on? Hey, I got this film short. If I were filming something right now, I would like, hey, Annie, here's the script. Would you be interested in doing this? And she'll probably, if she could, she'd probably like, yeah, I'll come do that.
I mean, I think I've gotten very few jobs from just cold auditions or interviews. I think almost every job I've had has come from doing something and meeting people through that and then working with them later, whether it's stand up or a UCB class or Frequency 101 or just making stuff and finding a community to get involved with and then making stuff together, because it's not we're not novelists. We can't do it on our own.
That's true. That is so true. So and look at that. That was an hour. We did an hour. Just that fast. Just that fast. So Miss AK Lady, what's good? Thanks for joining us. You caught us at the end, but thanks for coming out. She's one of my day ones. She's out here in Orlando. We helped her discover that the Florida DeSantis, the Florida governor, is messing around in Orlando, and she just bought property there. We're like, yo, this Disney thing means you guys might have to pay more in property taxes, as much as 25% more, because of this thing with the don't say gay and all this and fighting Disney. And she's like, what? Like, it was on a show. My buddy and I, Jay Swans, were talking about it, and she looked into it, and she was like, that is true, but luckily her county is not affected, but there are other counties that are, and they are looking at possibly paying an increase of like 25% on their property taxes. And then everything else, of course, is going to go up. So, yeah, that was. But hey, she learned that here. She was like, hit me up, like, yo, thanks. I was like, you're welcome, love. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? And she was like, yeah, she's like, thanks for putting me up on game. Definitely appreciate that. I appreciate that you rock with me, Miss AKA Lady, coming over from Suzette Speaks, and all my Fresh and Fit people who came over from there to help me get this platform going. So, hey, Miss Annie Girard, thank you so much for coming out and helping out your boy.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been so fun.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do some more. And where can people find you? Like your social media, websites, or anything like that?
I mean, I'm pretty much Annie Girard or Annie Girard Yay on stuff. I'm hit and miss on social, so sometimes I forget it exists, and then I'll do like 3 in a week. I don't know.
You know, I'm a little more committed to my comedy page. I don't look at my private page as much, but on my comedic page, I'm doing this, and I do a bunch of, and it is what it is. I'm with you on that. In other words, we're not social media creatures. It's just there.
Yeah.
Like, it's just there. I have to remind myself to take pictures.
I'm very impressed by it.
Me too. I mean, I go places, I have a good time. Hey, were you at this? I'm like, yeah, I was there. Well, where are the pictures? Like, I didn't take any. I was there. I mean, so I got to work on that. But thanks again for doing this. You know what I mean? You are amazing. They're your cheers. Now it's time for you to get back to the puke and the poop and whatever else is going on in the house right now. So yeah, hey guys, hey, thanks for hanging out with me, y'all. I'm DL Saint. This is the DL Saint I Really Want to Know podcast. That is Annie Girard. You know what I mean? The mom, the actress, the writer extraordinary. Keep your eyes out for her, because she is doing big things in Hollywood. And like I said, I didn't want to beat up on Hollywood today, and I don't think we beat them up on too much. Not too much. We took it easy. So so we are out. I will be back tomorrow on Knees Watchers platform, 11 a.m. We're going to be talking about timepieces. And I got a ton of questions for him about that world, because I've just begun to explore that world. I'm having a good time. So thank you so much. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.
Bye.